There we go.
All right, we are live. All right, hello, Facebook and Yellow Jacket Band family. Mr. E here, and I've got Mr. Barry Bernhardt live from Miami, and joining us. He is the director of bands at Florida International University, and he just we met, gosh, about 4 or 5, 6 years ago in New Orleans, and
Right.
on a judging gig with World Strides and the Sugar Bowl, and had a good time. And we've just reconnected just about every year in New Orleans, and just had a good time. But he's here, and he's going to share with us why he started in band and how he got involved in band, and just from the very beginning. And I think his story relates a lot of to us here in Hazelhurst. And I look forward to you guys just listening to him and chatting with him. But Mr. Bernhardt, we're going to start right from the beginning. When was the first time? Like, what decided you just made you decide to join the band program? And well, I guess where you're from and just all the basics. Go ahead and just start chatting with us.
My students here at FIU, thank you, first of all, for inviting me to do this. I'm honored to be here. My students laugh when I say this, but I'm just a country boy from Missouri. I grew up in Macon, Missouri, a little town of about 5,000 people. We had a great band program. I think the thing that inspired me to be involved in music was my dad had been a trumpet player in high school and in junior college, and we listened to a lot of jazz when I was young. And hi, Jimmy. And but I admired the students that were ahead of me, that were older than me in school and band, and so I started band when I was in 5th grade. And I still play. I'm 62 years old. I still play my horn. Probably not as much as I'd like, but with this virus thing going on, it's happening a little more. But anyway, so I loved being in high school band. I was, in the conference band, and I was in the all district band. Back when I was in school, we didn't have the all state band in Missouri yet, so I didn't have that opportunity. But I went to school at a small state university in Missouri. Back then it was called Northeast Missouri State University in Kirksville, Missouri. It's since been renamed. It's Truman State University. Really small school, about 6,000 students. But I got a great education there. I went to school to get a music ed degree, to have something to fall back on, because really what I wanted to do was be a jazz trumpet player. But that didn't really pan out. So I became a band director, and that's what I've been my whole career. I taught public school 1 year in Northeast Missouri, about 20 miles from where I grew up, and was going to stay, but then I had an opportunity to go back to graduate school, and to the same school, to my alma mater, and to be the assistant band director for 2 years while I got my master's. And it's a wonderful learning opportunity. I got to have my own jazz band. I had my own concert band. I wrote for the college marching band. I wrote some arrangements. I wrote some drill. Did the basketball band, played some, but I got a lot of experience. And after that, I just wanted to be a high school band director, and I'd applied for some jobs in the Kansas City area. And my mentor said, "Hey, I think you need to apply for some of these entry-level college jobs." So I did, and I got an interview at Cal State Long Beach in Southern California. That's where Karen and Richard Carpenter went to school.
Oh yeah.
And they were in Frank Pooler's choir at Cal State Long Beach. But anyway, so I interviewed for the Cal State job 2 days after I graduated from my graduate school, and came back on a Thursday, had our wedding rehearsal on Friday, got married on Saturday, and a month and a half later, we moved to Southern California. And so it was and I was 26 years old, and I was going to be a college professor. And so it was pretty scary. I was one of 3 band directors there. A big school. We had about 700 music majors at that school.
Wow.
John Prince was on the faculty then. He was a ghostwriter for the Tonight Show band when Doc was doing the band. And so I got to learn from him. I had my own jazz group. In fact, I did the 2nd and the 3rd jazz group there. I wrote for the marching band, wrote drill, had my own concert band, taught all the methods classes, all that kind of stuff. We started our family out there, and our son was born in Southern California, and then we just didn't want to raise our kids out there because we're from Missouri, country folk. And so I took a job for 2 years and replaced Steve Peterson at Stephen F. Austin State University in Nacogdoches, Texas. Steve was getting his doctorate at that point with, who was he? He was at Northwestern with John Painter. And so anyway, I did that job for 2 years, and our daughter was born in Texas. And then after those 2 years, I got a job at Southeast Missouri State University in Cape Girardeau, Missouri. And I stayed there for 20 years. I went in as the director of athletic bands, and I did the athletic bands. I had my own concert band, did the jazz program. And 5 years into that, I became the director of bands and was the director of bands there then for the next 15 years. Had an opportunity in 2010 to come to Miami, and was hired by the president of the university to rebuild a very young Division I athletic band program. It had started in 2002 when they started Division I football here, and then it went away. The band went away in the 2009-2010 school year because of the budget cuts. The housing market crash and everything that happened down here. And so new president comes in. He says, we have to have a marching band. When they pulled the plug on the marching band here, it actually made Sports Illustrated, because here's FIU, a young up and coming D1 school, and they don't have a marching band and they don't have cheerleaders now. So it was
I remember that.
Yeah. So I've been down here for 10 years. I didn't come here as director of bands. I came in as the director of athletic bands and the associate director of bands, and the director of bands at that time was Dr. Catherine Rand, who's at Southern Miss, and she was here for 2 years, and she left, we talked together for 2 years, and then she left and went to Southern Miss, and I became the director of bands. I still do the athletic bands. I have a wonderful colleague here that does the wind ensemble and chamber music. Wonderful faculty here. FIU is a very unique school. It's probably the 4th largest university in the country. We have right around 60,000 students. It's very young. It's only about 55 years old. Mm-hmm. We're a Carnegie Mellon Research 1 top tier university. We're in the top 100 schools in the country academically. We have a great law school. We've got a great medical school, architecture, engineering. We have a wonderful hospitality management program that partners with Royal Caribbean Cruise Lines. If you're a foodie and you've heard of the South Beach Wine and Food Festival, that's FIU. We host that. We run that on South Beach. And then, of course, we've got a great music school. I have several. My dog is wanting to go out. Can you give me 2 seconds? Let me let her out.
Yeah, of course.
She's gonna.
Well, hey, Mr. Jimmy, how are you doing?
Sorry, I had my mute.
All right,
hey, man, I'm good. Are you doing all right?
Yeah, making it happen, man. Just living the good life. Living the good life.
Living the dream.
Living the dream.
That's right.
So
I had no idea FIU was one of the largest in the country. I did not know that. I remember the times when UCF was one of the largest in Florida. It was even larger than Florida State and UF and all that put together. So
Right.
that's crazy.
Yeah, I don't know. We're probably second in Florida. I mean, UCF's a little bigger than us, but we're huge.
Yeah.
All right, we're going to go back to your high school days.
All right.
And we want to hear about your high school experience and even your middle school experience. So, like when we were talking to some other band directors and musicians across, they were talking about their high school experience and just we want to hear like what was it like for you in the small community and how did you what motivated you every day to practice or did you practice or did you know that you were going to be the best trumpet player ever from day one?
No, I mean I wanted to be.
Yeah.
I wanted to be the best player. I was motivated to practice. Nobody had to ask me to practice. My parents never had to tell me to go practice. I wanted to be good, and I practiced a lot. Even in 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th grade, I practiced every day. There were guys and gals ahead of me, in school that I looked up to as trumpet players, and just people in band. And in a small community, I mean, you do a myriad of things. I mean, you're not just a bando. You may be a linebacker on the football team, or you may play baseball, or you may run track, or you may be on the golf team, or maybe a cheerleader.
Yeah.
I mean, and or you're in this club or that club. I mean, in a small community, that's just the way it is, and that's okay. That it really is okay. I think we need to take advantage of those opportunities, those life experiences. Being a part of a group is healthy, and it's a safety net. When I was in high school, my best friends in the whole wide world were in that band, and some, are still my really good friends. I enjoyed the competition of like all conference band, all district band, where we had to audition and then we got to play with a guest conductor. I enjoyed doing that. I enjoyed going to summer camp. I went to summer camp at Northeast Missouri State, and I would always do the jazz camp, and it was a hoot. It was a hoot. I mean, I loved doing that. We didn't really have competitive marching band stuff back then, like we have now. But we had jazz festivals and the concert band festivals and the solo and ensemble. Oddly enough, I didn't play a solo until my senior year, and I played in ensembles like brass quintets, or I played in trumpet trios and things like that. But I was taking trumpet lessons with the trumpet teacher at the university at that time, and he goes, "You got to take a solo to contest." I said, "Well, I've never done that." He goes, "Well, here, this is what you're going to play." And he gave me the first movement of the Hummel trumpet concerto, and so he goes, "And that's going to be your audition music for college." So anyway, but no, I enjoyed that. I enjoyed those experiences. The people I hung out with were in the band. I mean, everybody I hung out with was in the it was just it was a wonderful opportunity. It was a wonderful time. I mean, I don't remember that as vividly as I remember college, I guess. But college too. I mean, it was just the travel, the getting to go on tour and playing, and our top jazz group got to play with all these great guest artists. With Clark Terry and with Eddie Daniels and Carl Fontana, people like that. I mean, we got to hang out and play. Maynard, we played with Maynard 3 times. We played with Dizzy once.
How did that work? Like, how were you able to do that kind of stuff with your college ensemble?
Because we had money somehow, because we ran this college jazz festival. The Phi Mu Alpha brothers really were the ones that kind of ran herd on it. But we made a lot of money on the jazz festival, and we were able to bring guest artists in. 1 or 2 a year.
Yeah, those experiences probably were like the most memorable. I know, like for me, going to Troy, the most memorable
Keep going.
moments. That's all right. The most memorable moments I had were the Seuss festivals, and when we had the composers come in, like, and just getting to be under the direction of Colonel Bourgeois with the Marine Band. Those are the most memorable moments I have of college. Besides, the trips, the social aspects of college. The social aspects of college bridge the gaps for the memorable aspects of college. And, I remember Robert Smith was one of my band directors in college, and he said, you won't appreciate what you have in front of you with the National Band Association Hall of Fame, the people that would come in getting inducted, until you've been teaching 10, 15 years. And looking back at the people that I've just ran into and met, it's been just outstanding. I mean, I had a 45-minute private lesson with Ken Bloomquist in a car ride from Troy, Alabama to Montgomery, just because I was a GA and I was responsible for him. We just talked band the entire time, and those experiences, man, just I enjoyed and loved, and I was fortunate to have that, like you with your jazz buddies.
Oh, it was fun. I mean, getting to hang with all those great jazz people. I mean, I was the chairman of the jazz festival the year we had Carl Fontana in. He was a guy, a trombone player out in Vegas. And he used to be the guy that played with Super Sax after Frank Rosalino died. And he missed his flight from Kirksville to Kansas City. And then he had a flight from Kansas City to Vegas. And I said, okay, jump in the car, let's go. And so for 3 hours, we talked about, what it was like to be a real deal musician, a studio guy playing all the stuff in Vegas. It was, those experiences were invaluable. And that inspired me too. I mean, we had trumpet players. We had an ITG chapter, International Trumpet Guild chapter. And I remember my freshman year, we had Alan Dean. He came in and played cornetto for us. We had Cat Anderson, who had been on the Ellington band. He was the high note scream player.
Yeah.
And then he played with Louis Belson. Had those guys in. It was great because we always got to hang. And the other thing too is we had a thing with the St. Louis Symphony. They always did a series where the symphony would come in for a concert, and we'd do a side-by-side rehearsal with them with our orchestra. But as a trumpet player, I got to take a lesson with Susan Slaughter every year. And we hung out with the brass section after the symphony concert. We'd go hang out with them. Have a brass choir party.
Yeah.
Talk to those people about what it was like, and and then you snag a lesson or whatever. Yeah, I mean, life is short. Let's do everything we can do, and being in band is just, it's one of those things. You can't play football your whole life, but you can play an instrument your whole life.
Yeah. Some of the most memorable moments with the hanging, like with Jimmy. I've known Jimmy for 20 years now, almost 22 years. We came into Troy together, didn't know each other. He's a Port Charlotte guy, and he went up to Troy, and we met, and we pledged the KK side together, and we were tuba section leaders together. And then 16 years after we graduate, we're sitting there, and we come to Hazelhurst, Georgia together to create something. To create something special is our goal, like anywhere. And it's fun that I wouldn't have that opportunity without music and being able to do that.
Well, some of my best friends now are guys that I've known in the business for 30, 35, 36 years. And not always guys that I went to school with. I mean, the guys I run the bowl games. I mean, Norman and Robert Hesse and Scott McBride. I mean, we've been friends for since dirt. And they're the best friends I have on the planet. Yeah. Great guys.
Yeah, they really are. They're good hangs too. So,
oh my gosh.
when you went to the Cal State and you were the band director, how was it being 26 years old with college students, not much younger than you and even older than you? How How was that?
I had two or three grad students assigned to me, and one of them was at least 5 years older than me. The other guy had just gotten off the road with the Navy band. He was a jazz guitar player, and he was assigned to me with one of my jazz groups. I mean, oh yeah, it was scary.
Yeah,
Scary. I mean, I'd only taught public school for 1 year. I mean, I was serious about what I wanted to do, but my gosh, the worst thing for first, second, third year teachers, what you don't know, and the learning curve is pretty steep. I'll never forget it. I walk in there, and the chairman was a guy by the name of David Keene. He'd been the tuba teacher at North Texas for years before he came to Cal State. And I looked at my class schedule for the fall, and I went into his office. I said, David, is this a mistake? You have me teaching clarinet methods and percussion methods. I said, I'm a trumpet player. He goes, I know. You're a band director, right? Yeah. Yeah. So I did. I mean, I checked out a clarinet and, got out my practice pad and my sticks, and, I taught those classes. It was scary. It was really scary.
Yeah. Well, talk to us a little bit about FIU. So you kind of started on FIU. So tell us, you came in 2010, right after during the housing crunch, and then and they canceled the marching band. So how did you resurrect this thing?
Well, it really was not easy. The kids that had started in that program in 2002 had been started correctly by Dr. Greg Martin, who was just retired, I think, at Westchester. And he did it the right way. He had just come from Texas. He'd been a doctoral student at UT. And then he kind of saw the handwriting on the wall. He left, and they hired somebody else to come in, and program started going south, and the funding started going south. And so anyway, the kids that I was able to get back from those original years had one or two different ways of doing things already. So we kind of just had to ride it, as best we could that first year or two. I think the first year we had 65 kids or something. We took anybody that would play. FIU, the way we do it now is you have to be either an FIU student, or you have to go to either Miami-Dade College or Broward College, and you can audition. Everybody has to audition. Those early days, I mean, anybody that could spin a flag, play a drum, play a trumpet, whatever, any warm body, I'd take him. We're at the point now, 10 years later, where everybody auditions. I don't care what you play or what you do, everybody auditions. Last year, we had an audition band of 220. We had 120 people audition for guard alone, and we took 50. We took 50, and 42 of them got to perform. The drum line was pretty big. Horn line was the biggest horn line I'd had since I've been here, but everybody auditioned. The first horn line audition I had last year on a Saturday, I had 70 kids audition, and I took about 45 of them. So not everybody makes it. But the cool thing is, if you're an FIU student and you make the band, you get $1,500 in the fall semester. If you go to Miami-Dade College or Broward College and you make the band, color guard, whatever, just you make the band, you get $1,000. Plus, they sign up for graded credit, and they pay for that up front. And then as soon as the ad drop deadline hits, they get that money refunded to them. So they're getting a free hour of A.
Yeah.
As long as they work.
Yeah, of course.
Our goal was to have somewhere between 275 and 300 for this fall. We just don't know. with all this, what's going to happen? We've plugged all the holes in the dike as far as we can. We're doing all virtual auditions. Students can go to our website, which is just bands.fiu.edu, and under the membership tab or members tab, all the audition music is PDF'd, and then they can fill out a Google Doc type thing. So we have their information. They play the audition music, which is really just 3 tunes. It's the alma mater, the fight song, and the FIU samba, which is our signature tune. And they play those, upload it to YouTube, send me a YouTube video. Guard's doing the same kind of thing. The Guard has been doing like dance workshops and movement workshops. They'll do have a Facebook Live, clinic, spinning or whatever. The Drumline has actually been very aggressive. They've been submitting practice videos on their Facebook page, and so that's the way we're going to do the auditions. I forgot. Gosh, there was something like 16 people auditioning for snare. We're not taking 16. We're going to take 9.
Yeah.
The Drumline could be huge.
All right. Well, with being in Miami, this is one of the characteristics I just truly love about you and your program, that there's always the heat wave. It's always hot down there. It doesn't get cold except for probably one day in February, and then it's back in 97 degrees.
Right.
Tell me about your band uniforms and what the kids do with the band uniforms and how that was perceived.
You know me.
Yeah.
Flip-flops, shorts, and Hawaiian shirts. Yeah. Well, the original band did have regular band uniforms. And they kind of had a white pith helmet, like a safari helmet type thing. And when I came in, the president said he didn't want to do that. So he had cut a deal with Perry Ellis. And that first year we wore khaki slacks, and we wore a white Guayavera, which is a Cuban shirt. And we had straw hats. That was all donated. And then the next year they didn't donate as much. And so, we went ahead and did it. And then I wanted to change it up, and we went to a blue Guayavera. And then we went to a blue Guayavera with white pants. And then this last year we went to, we wear white bibbers that we got from Stanberry. They're like the drum corps cut, with the sewn in hem and all that stuff, the crease. But we wear Hawaiian shirts, and it's a real thin material, but every one of them looks exactly the same because it's all digitally printed. And what we did, I should have worn that, I guess, on this. But what we did is we embedded in the fabric our logo. So it's the FIU Panther, and it says FIU Band, and that's our trademark logo. But it's all over the.
Hey, Mr. Bernhardt, I was going to say, Nick, if you look at mine, I'm sharing the screen from the FIU Band page, and it's showing the little video there with the students in the Hawaiian shirts and the hats and everything. I don't know if you can put that up on the production. Yeah, right there.
Oh, there it is.
There it is, right there.
There it is. Kind of laggy a little bit, but
yeah.
Oh, there you go. Yeah,
there it is.
Yeah,
that's it. Yeah, it's this.
Yeah. See,
but our kids also get like those polos.
Mm-hmm.
So sometimes, for a pep rally or something like that, we'll use the polos. Early in the season, we'll use the polos and just wear shorts because it's so hot. We may go the first couple games just in shorts, tennis shoes, and our polo. And then we get them, they get 2 or 3 different ball caps. They get a white one, they get a yellow one, they get a pink one. We do the breast cancer awareness games in October. Cool. Hey, that's awesome.
Yeah, we're just learning this program, and man, we're just this is the type of we're finding new stuff like this all the time. But
Yeah,
We do
yeah.
that.
I just went to the website because I was curious, and so I went looking and looked up some stuff. So
It just launched about 3.5 weeks ago. So we have basic content up. We're going to start throwing more videos and things like that. I mean, the other thing about our program is we're not a regular college marching band. I mean, we're just not that. I tried to do that when I first came here, but it just doesn't work. Not in Miami. You have to have that Miami swagger. You have to have that Miami music. You know, you got to move. We do a fair amount of drill, but we always have choreo with everything. I mean, we don't stand and park and bark and just, do that. That doesn't happen. We're moving.
Well, that's the beautiful thing about you. I love about you is the community, and that's probably why you've had the success you've had at FIU. Is you knew the community, you assessed the community, you tailored the program to the community, and so many times we get musical selfish with what we want to do, and we don't know our community, and we just it hurts us in the long run. And that's what
No, it takes a while to do that. I mean, you can't do it immediately. That first year.
Yeah.
Happen. You have to look at what you have and how everybody embraces the program, and then you have to figure out how to make it unique and how to make it fit like you said, your community.
Yeah, I just think that's great. So also I want to touch a little bit about your staff. I'm impressed with your color guard staff and your percussion staff. Can you share about what they do outside of the FIU world?
Well, I have a coordinator for color guard, and I have a coordinator for percussion. My guard coordinator marched cadets. He actually in college played tuba one time. He played bass drum, but he wanted to do guard. He did guard for cadets. Had DCI run, he was going to be one of the guard staff for the cadets this summer. He has about 3 or 4 techs. All of whom have drum corps experience and WGI experience. We're the only university that I know of in the country that has all 3 competitive groups in WGI. We have competitive winter guard, we have competitive percussion drumline, and we have competitive winds.
Okay.
Last year we were fan favorites in all those. So I've got a guy that's just a dancer. He'd done color guard and band when the band first started here, but he actually teaches dance. So he's kind of our movement guy. I've got another guy that does body work and stuff, but they're all good with all kinds of equipment. My guard guy, his name is Enrique Perez, and he's a local Miami guy, Miami product, went to high school here, went to FIU. March Drum Corps. He's really good. He's really good. My drum staff is run by Christian Cruz Vargas. Chris grew up here in Miami and went to the Marines. He was in the Paris Island Marine Band as a percussionist and hurt his back and was honorably discharged from the Marines and came back and was in school here for a while. But most recently, he's been writing a lot. He writes a lot of marching band drill. He writes a lot of WGI stuff for drums, for winds. He's one of the guys that does Chromium winds in Chicago, which is the Cavaliers winds group. He's the guy that writes their stuff. And we have techs on every instrument. So I have a snare tech. I have a tenor tech, I have a bass tech, I have a cymbal tech, and I have 2 front ensemble techs. One that deals with electronic.
Yeah, I found them.
What's that?
I'm sorry. I found them. I've got them posted there again. Well, we're telling you, we're finding gold here with you today.
With me?
But I've got them there if you want to share it.
All right. Look at this, and there's your staff right there.
Yeah.
Let's see. Look at us. This is almost professional.
We got
Yeah.
the contact info there if they want to send you an email and talk about stuff. It's got all kinds of stuff on that page. Good links.
Yeah. I mean, it's all good stuff, man.
Now, what all majors do you guys offer in the music department there? Are you guys full on music ed, music performance,
we do
that kind of thing? Or are you
do everything. We have bachelor's and master's. We do not have doctoral programs at this point, but music ed is our biggest degree. We have degrees in performance. We have degrees in music composition, music business, music technology. You can get a degree in jazz performance or classical performance. This is the school where Arturo Sandoval taught for 20 years.
Oh, I don't think I knew that.
Oh, there's several of my colleagues that have Grammys or Latin Grammys.
Wow.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. Pretty crazy.
Now, did you ever think
now
that
what
you would
percentage? I'm sorry.
Did you ever think that you would be at this point working with people with Grammys and doing what you're doing and while you were teaching at all?
No.
Oh,
I mean, never in a million years. I just wanted to be a high school band director in Kansas City.
yeah.
I mean, that's really what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
And
I think it's just great.
Well, I've been blessed. And the cool thing is I'm not done yet. I'm not ready to hang it up yet. I enjoy what we've been able to achieve here at FIU. We had great success when I was at Southeast Missouri State. I love the recruiting aspect. Before I left on the basketball trip, right before all this coronavirus hit, I'd already visited 28 schools here in South Florida. So I love doing that, going out and doing clinics with the bands and working with them and working with soloists and all that. I enjoy that. But I've been blessed, man. I've gotten to do some really cool stuff. The stuff with the bowl games, the stuff with the men's Final Four and 500 and just all that. I did the Edinburgh Military Tattoo twice with the Southeast Missouri State Band. And we were the third and the fourth university bands to ever do that. And in front of the castle in Edinburgh, Scotland. Yeah. 26 performances, 10,000 people a night.
Yeah. Wow.
It was amazing. I've gotten to travel. In fact, I just got a message from one of my friends in Dublin. He's asking about my daughter, who just had a baby. He said, "Any news on his friends?" So I'll have to text him here in a minute. No, but I've gotten to travel all over the world. I've gotten to work with people from all genres of music. I've gotten to play some. I've gotten to learn a lot, and the cool thing is I feel like I'm still learning. I feel like I'm just now figuring it out after 36 years. It's not that I feel complacent at all. I mean, if you feel complacent, you're not gonna get very far. I'll never forget when I was teaching once at Stephen F. Austin in Nacogdoches with John Whitwell. We're going to play at TMEA, and he wanted Dr. Ravelli to come in and conduct Elsa's at TMEA. And my job as the associate director of bands was to take care of Dr. Ravelli, because grad students were all playing in the band. Cool. So we were going from San Antonio to Austin. We were going to share a concert with Jerry Junkin's band at UT. And so I was driving Dr. Ravelli, and I said, and he was like 84 at the time. I said, "Dr. Ravelli, how do you keep up this pace? How do you do this?" He goes, "I try to learn something new every day." He goes, "And that's the day I stop learning is the day I'm going to die." So I've tried to. I thought, what a wise saying. I want to learn every day. I want to learn something from my students every day. Hopefully, I learn more from them than they learn from me. You know, that's my goal.
I have a question for you. A lot of band programs, especially on the college level, the kids don't sometimes understand coming out of high school that there is a large percentage, sometimes half or more, that those folks aren't music majors. A lot of the kids I hear from will say, well, you know, I'm going to college, but why should I be in the band? I'm not going to be a band director. I'm not going to perform for the rest of my life. And I think there's sometimes a disconnect there. What is the percentage at FIU of those students that are not music majors that are in the band program?
85%.
Oh, wow. And they still they get scholarships regardless if they're music majors or not. As long as they make the band, they're still going to get a scholarship.
Right. And, you know, a little more on that. If they make the band for the fall, then they get that money in the fall. And then in October, I auditioned a 50-piece band for basketball. If you make that band, you get $25 a game. Well, we do, 36 games a season, 38 games a season for all the men's, all the women's games. That's some pretty good money. And then on top of that, in the spring, I auditioned for a little 25-piece group that we call Panther Gold, which is our little, I just call it a performance ensemble. It's a group that when the president calls or the provost or the dean and they need a band to go do this or do that, do something for athletics, I send that group because they're always ready. And this year they got to play before a Miami Heat game and go to the Heat game. They played an 80th birthday party for one of our major donors down on South Beach on Lincoln Road. We got to perform with Tony Sukar, who just won 2 Latin Grammys, Producer of the Year. I mean, he's one of our alums. I mean, those kids get to do some pretty cool stuff. And they get paid. But most of my kids are not music majors.
They just love playing their instrument.
They just love playing. And
that's the beauty of it.
And, you know, and they're just, I think that's what makes college bands so cool, is because you have people from every point on campus. Every major that's represented on campus is in my band program. It's just like the way it is at any other place too. You know, I have pre-med majors, I've got engineering majors, I've got hospitality management majors, I've got whatever. And I've got music majors too, but you don't have to be a music major. And I think that's, like you said, I think that's one of the major misconceptions about college band. Oh, you got to be a music major. No. And here, you come to FIU, I'm going to pay you to do it. I mean,
why not?
School, if you were in all 3 of those groups, the marching band, the basketball band, which we call courtside players, and Panther Gold, there's over half your tuition for a year to play your horn.
That's a no-brainer. Yeah, it doesn't get better than that.
No, it's a no-brainer. No-brainer. And the relationships that you build. I was doing an interview with our Kappa Psi members in training here this last week, and I asked them to tell me what they liked about our program. And here are the things that they said. Friends. That's where their friends were. They liked that we created tradition, because we have traditions in our band program. I mean, after every game, we march back to the School of Music, and there's a rotunda, and we circle up, and we have final announcements, and we sing the alma mater. You know, they like the experience. They like the travel, going to bowl games, going to away games, getting to fly here or there. I mean, I've taken the band to the Bahamas 2 years ago for the bowl game. They like that they learn a sense of responsibility in my program, because I want every one of my kids to feel like they have ownership in our program. I think they work harder. And the number one thing that they said, it's family. And I think that's the coolest thing about what we do, is if we do it the right way, they feel comfortable. They are family. I miss my kids. I mean, I miss my wife and my kids right now, my personal children and my grandkids who are all in St. Louis. but I miss my band.
Mhm.
I mean, it's we just don't do we're not going to do a Zoom with a bazillion people. The most I see is a class of 10 right now at a time.
Yeah.
It's great to see them every week, but it's, I want to make some music with my kids.
Yeah, that's my biggest thing too. Is we had a great year leading up into our assessment, and we worked hard and did really well at our assessment. And that was the last time we actually played and met together. And we were out on this Corona break since then. And I miss the fact that I miss the momentum that we could have created from then to the end of the school year to the spring concert, and which would lead us in marching band season. But everything happens for a reason, and if there's one thing that I'm hoping that I'm teaching is lifelong learning, and that they're still playing their horn every day, or they're still doing something positive and learning a trade or something right now, and just being productive.
Well, and that's the thing. I mean, I don't think this gives us free reign to just play video games all day and and hang out at the pool or whatever. I think we need to take this as an opportunity. And we need to make the most of it. We can still teach. We can still do lessons. We can still do group lessons, on Zoom or whatever. Is it difficult to change to face-to-face, from face-to-face to an online virtual teaching? Of course. At our university, we had one day. We had 24 hours notice. They told us on Wednesday, and I was in Dallas with the band at the Conference USA basketball tournament. They told us, we got the announcement that night. By Thursday, they had to be teaching virtually. So I got back and was right in the middle of it, a lot of schools, have had a couple of weeks because it hit during their spring break. So they got a spring break and then an extra week buffer, and then they were able to transition. We didn't. We just went the next day.
Yeah.
So it's a challenge. Everybody's got to stay upbeat about it. I think we have to. I think we have to stay connected with our kids. However we do that, if we can do it, where we do a sectional meeting. Hey, let's all Zoom. Let's Zoom the flutes today, or let's Zoom the clarinets tomorrow, or whatever, and let's talk. How's everybody doing? Is there anything I can do to help you? I think we've got to stay positive, because at the end of the day, when we're able to get back, music will heal us. Music will heal everything.
That's for sure.
All
right, one last thing that I want to just tip my hat to you, or just a little bit, is what you do at the festivals that we work together, World Strides festivals that we do together. When you put that show together with all those the mass band production, is just, I love watching you work. I mean, I'm not trying to kiss your butt or anything like that, but the way that you do it, and you, Norm, and Jerry and
Robert,
man, it's just awesome.
Thank you.
So tell us a little bit about that, and just tell us how do you get it all together, and how do you make it work and jive so well with so many?
I wonder that sometimes myself, because you come in and we have a 4-hour rehearsal, theoretically, and then you do the dress rehearsal, and then you do the gig. The cool thing is that I work with 3 or 4 other people that are really good at what they do. And I can tell you that we all started out being just, schleps and helping do this bowl game or helping do that bowl game. And there's not a one of the guys on my crew, our crew, the A team, that couldn't be on the ladder doing what I do. But everybody has their thing that they do, and we've discussed it. I think we have a formula.
Yeah.
The biggest one we've ever done was Sugar Bowl for a national championship, and that was, I don't know, 95 or so, 94, 95, and that was the first one that I conducted, and we had 3,000 kids on the field. in the same amount of time. I think the main thing going into those bowl games is if the directors that are bringing their students to those events are prepared with what we send them. Their kids can play the music. The guard can do the guard work. Will there be some changes? Probably, but they'll be so minimal that they'll be able to do it on the fly. I think the other thing is that the way we do it, where we put everybody up in the stands except the drums and the tubas, I think that helps establish from the get-go that it's not this band and this band and this band and this band. Yeah. It's this band all together. And I think we break those barriers down, those walls down immediately. And then we do what we do. I mean, Norman takes the drums and he gets them doing what he wants them to do and how he wants them to do it. And I do breathing gym. I believe in that. Pat Sheridan, is one of my dear, dear friends. Sam was too. God bless his soul. But I believe in that. So I do breathing gym. We stretch. We talk about the sound that we want. I don't treat that any differently than I treat my own band. I want to have a good sound. And, we do that. And then Robert and Scott, they organize the high school directors to help us do sectionals. All that is stuff that we've created ourselves. We worked it out. In the early years, we'd say, hey, this just isn't working. We need to do this differently. What do we do? And so we kind of came up with, this is how we do this. It's pretty cool though, isn't it? Because it's amazing. That first rehearsal, we normally are allotted 4 hours, and rarely do I take more than 2 or 2.5.
Yeah.
There's no reason.
Yeah, I think. Yeah. Well, just this past year, I think was one of the best sounding groups that I've been a part of. So, and I've been doing it, gosh, like I said, 4 or 5 years, something like that, and just getting all the kids, like you said, in sections in the stands as one band, and demanding that this is the way we are going to do. This is what we're going to sound. There's those bands from Texas that join us that are well rehearsed, and you've got those bands that are not as well rehearsed, but they all seem to rise to that occasion of that expectation you have, and I think that's the most great thing.
Thank you. Well, I think the other thing too is when we tell them right from the get-go, and like you said, when we bring them in the stands, okay, trumpets, you're here. Of course, they kind of clump together with their buddies, but then when we bring them out of the stands and we start setting them, I don't want them standing next to their best buddy. And we did that for a reason. Number one, from a visual perspective, you get colored. It's the whole color palette rather than a band of red and a band of black and a band of green and a band of orange. It's color. The other thing is that these events are so important for these kids. I mean, this is going to be one of the coolest things they've ever done in their life. Maybe one of the coolest things they'll ever do in their life at this level. Why not stand next to somebody that you don't know from the other side of the country and make a new friend?
Yep.
I think it's just so positive. So positive. I wish more bands did it. I'm all about competition and all that, and I get that. But at the end of the day, what we do at those bowl games is so stinking special. I think the kids, the directors, I want the directors to feel like, they're part of the crew. I mean, of the staff. They have to be.
Yeah.
I've started to see a trend where some of the directors are doing from rival high schools. Sometimes they're doing like pregame together. Or they're doing, a joint Star Spangled Banner, or every now and then they'll get together and stand side by side on the field or intermingle and play, a stands tune towards the end of the season after the competitive. And I think you're right. It shows, even though we may have this competitive aspect as part of it, we also have the ability to come together and we can play together, make music together, and set aside that, competitive aspect of it, and that's something that, sports, it's hard for them to do that. You can't play the game jointly because you're competing against each other. So, and I've started to see that trend a little bit more in high school bands.
I'm glad it's happening in high school bands. I know it's happening amongst my friends in the college band world. We had the biggest game of FIU's history this year when we played the University of Miami at Marlins Park. And we had played them the year before at Hard Rock Stadium. And Jay and I said, this is a wonderful opportunity. Here are two great bands from Miami who will only play each other a couple times in our careers. Let's put the bands together. So we put the bands together. Last year we combined the bands and we played the national anthem. This year we combined the bands. My band did our pregame show, and then we brought their band out and we played "God Bless America" together. I see that more and more. We're planning on taking our band up to Orlando to UCF for the game, which is Labor Day weekend, and I've already talked to Tremont Kaiser, and we're gonna, I'm gonna actually conduct the national anthem, and we're gonna do a tune together at halftime. So we're each gonna cut our shows down to about 4 minutes, and we're gonna do something together. And I'm gonna do that.
That's a great idea. That is.
Come on. I mean, it shows that music is bigger than life. It shows that music is powerful. Sure. Am I going to cheer for my team? Am I going to try to take the other team out when I'm doing what I do? Of course, that's what we do. But there's a time and a place where we can all get together. And I've seen Michigan State do it. I've seen Notre Dame do it with bands. I think it's positive. It sends the right message.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Well, Barry, this has been absolutely wonderful. And if you can believe it, we've been talking for almost an hour about band and just stuff in general, which is just, I think this is just beautiful. I really think that this time that we're all distanced from one another, we get around the campfire and tell stories. And I really appreciate you just telling your story and just being a part of this Jack and Jive with us.
Well, thank you so very much. I mean, I'm honored. And anything at all I can do. You want me to do something like this again, or if there's any of your band director friends up in Georgia that want me to do something like this, or talk to their student leaders or whatever, I'm here. I can't go play golf, unfortunately. I've been playing Wii golf, but I guess I'm still working on my stroke, But
yeah.
I can only do that so many hours a day. So, let me know what I can do to help. I mean, that's why I'm here.
Well, we appreciate you. Man, we appreciate you. Thank you for just giving up your time with us, man. So we appreciate everyone tuning in with Jack and Jive tonight. We're going to be live again tomorrow night with Mr. Oliver, and he's one of our good buddies, Kirby Calvin Scott. He served as drum major of the Troy band for 3 years in a row, and we hope you will join us again then. And until then, we'll see you guys tomorrow. And
Thanks.
We are out.
Awesome.